And it's my very great pleasure to welcome you to Victoria this evening. I think I can promise you a fascinating evening. The castle is one of our great historic landmarks, and we're going to have the opportunity to travel around the perimeter of the city as well. And Victoria, I think you'll find, is a beautiful little place. Our driver tonight is Derek. And before we get too far, I should tell you something about Derek. We recently had on one of these excursions a clergyman, a pastor, and he was overheard to say that he wished he could do as well with his congregation at home as Derek does with his passengers. And when he was asked to explain that, he said that when it came to Derek's passengers, he'd never seen a group of people pray quite so hard. I'm teasing, of course, I think. We're in the best of hands. Derek's been doing this with me for a good long time. But having said that, I think I better sit down before he takes his revenge on the brake pedal. Victoria is a beautiful little city, and those are the operative words. Beautiful and little. It's not a big place, although it is classified as Canada's westernmost major city and the capital of the province of British Columbia. But the whole region is fractured into 13 separate municipalities and cities, all lumped together as kind of a generic Victoria. And the total population of that region is about 375,000 people in total. The city of Victoria only has about 75,000 permanent residences, but it is largely a business section. And all of the other communities, the 12 other municipalities, all are part of Greater Victoria. This is a unique place. We're perched right on the edge of the Pacific rainforest, but unlike any other city in the rainforest, we don't get very much rain. And the reason for that is difficult to see tonight. Just as Derek takes us around the corner here and we get clear of the buildings, have a look out the right-hand side of the bus. The body of water that we're going along is the Strait of Juan de Fuca. The border between Canada and the United States is halfway across the Strait of Juan de Fuca. It's 18 miles wide, but the borders are not maintained. The border's a generic thing. The center of the Strait of Juan de Fuca is a very busy shipping lane, so nobody pays any attention to boundaries until you reach land. But you can't see tonight, but that band of cloud along the waterline over there hides a very high range of mountains, the Olympic Mountains of Washington State. You can just see it. You can just see it at the top of the mountains poking above the clouds. They're what give us our unique climate. Because what happens is the Olympic Mountains guard us from the Pacific storms. The storms bounce along the open Pacific, building up moisture and strength. But then they smack up against the Olympics, and what goes over, just like tonight, is high cloud with no moisture in it. Victoria only gets an annual rainfall of less than 25 inches of rain.
Wow.
We get snow about once every 10 years. And when we do get snow, it's a catastrophe. I don't think there are more than 13 sets of snow tires in the whole city. The average daytime temperature is very much the same summer and winter. In winter, the average daytime temperature here is 44 degrees Fahrenheit. And in July and August, the two hottest months, the average temperature is only 73 to 74 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's 12 months of the year growing season. Typically, we mow our lawns right through until Christmas Day, and then we take a break until New Year's. The first Europeans sailed into these waters many years ago. Captain Cook of the Royal Navy came here in 1778. But the main exploration of the West Coast happened a few years later with George Vancouver in 1792. The city of Victoria began in 1842 when the Hudson's Bay Company established a fort or bastion here. And as we go around this corner, Derek's going to take us by a couple of local landmarks. One is a sign that says Mile Zero, and then right behind that sign there's a couple of people looking at a statue of a young man running. Those are both milestones. Mile Zero is the beginning of the longest continuous highway system on Earth. It's the Trans-Canada Highway. Canada is the second largest country on the planet, and that is the beginning of the longest highway system in the world. The statue is a genuine young Canadian hero. His name was Terry Fox. And Terry was a kid of 19 when he lost a leg to bone cancer 30 years ago this year. But he was a determined kid, a very courageous one. And he set out to run across Canada on his artificial leg to raise funds for cancer research and awareness of that dreadful disease. He didn't make it. He tried valiantly, but the cancer returned halfway across, and he had to abandon his run. And he died almost immediately thereafter. But his legacy lives on, because now in over 50 countries, Terry Fox runs are held in his memory and in his honor. And so far, they've raised for cancer research just a little over $800 million.
Wow.
And just another landmark, boy, we're really ticking them off now. Just on the left is the tallest freestanding Indian totem pole in the world.
Wow.
That's 126 foot 8 inches, carved from a single tree. And those totem poles were landmarks up and down the coast of North America. They tell the stories and lore of families, tribes, and the Indian culture that existed here back millennia.
Legacy Fox.
That was one of the first signs to local European explorers that the native culture was well established and had been for thousands of years. This is a part of town called Fairfield. It's one of the older parts of town. Like most coastal communities, Victoria first started building along the seafront and then built back as time progressed away from the seafront. Most of these old houses here really are second generations. They would have been original pioneer homes and would have been demolished. The pioneer homes would have been demolished. These homes would have dated back probably to the late 1800s, early 1900s. This is Clover Point that we're passing, and as you can see out here, there are kites flying, and often, tonight is an exception really, the winds are not particularly strong. These are parasailers that are getting their French wings ready for tonight when the winds may pick up a little bit, and they'll be either doing kite surfing or parasailing. We're coming around now to Ross Bay. The oldest cemetery in British Columbia is just here ahead on the left. Many of our most illustrious forebears are are resting in Ross Bay Cemetery, artists and jurists, business people, and those people that made this community what it is. But this causeway and the breakwater came after the cemetery was established. And the history books tell us that on the rare occasion when there was a large, vicious winter storm, it was not unusual to see odd-looking 8-foot-long square boxes bouncing around in the surf. It's a bit macabre, but apparently true. The causeway and roadway put an end to that, you'll be happy to know. It's a beautiful little coastline. The water here, though, in the Strait of Juan de Fuca is very cold. And that's the reason it was chilly down on the dock, because the westerlies blow right across the ocean. If you were to, without a dry suit or a wetsuit, if you were to be cast into the Strait of Juan de Fuca, you couldn't expect to survive more than about 20 minutes. And that's the same summer and winter. This is very strong tidal water, and it ebbs and flows twice a day with huge drops in the level of the water. This is a typical Victoria neighborhood. It's an older neighborhood, but Victoria has the nickname the City of Gardens. And I think I can prove that this is correct. Everywhere you go on our excursion tonight, you'll see green, nicely tended gardens, and with the long growing season, people do have an enormous sense of pride of place. The city itself is very clean and very safe. It's also a very expensive place in which to buy real estate. It's probably the second highest real estate market in Canada, largely because of a rapidly increasing retirement community here because of the climate and the ambience, and this is by far the most mild climate in Canada. And the pressure is on the market from people wishing to spend their golden years here, and also by immigrants from the Far East, particularly India and China. The average price of a single family dwelling in Victoria as of just April of this year, and it hasn't changed much since April, the average price of a single family dwelling here was $645,000, and that's with the US dollar and Canadian dollar at par. So it is an expensive place to live. Condominiums averaged in that period about $320,000, and townhouses connected, not freestanding, but one-story townhomes were about $450,000. Any of these properties that we're passing now on the waterfront would sell well in excess of $1 million, and many of them are many times that. We just left the city of Victoria, and we're in another community called the City of Oak Bay. The City of Oak Bay has a very British background. Almost all of the original immigrants here were from England and Scotland, and many of them, I think that they really never left the old country, because it is a very British oriented community. It's said that when you leave the city of Victoria and go into Oak Bay, you're disappearing between the Tweed Curtain, or behind the Tweed Curtain.
Mom.
Our journey this evening is going to take us around the sea on our way to Craigdarroch Castle.
Back at 8.
And I'll use the next couple of minutes just to put you in the picture as to Craigdarroch Castle. I put maps and a little picture, a cutout picture of Craigdarroch Castle, the main entrance that you'll be going in on and what it looks like inside. Craigdarroch Castle was to be the retirement home. It was commissioned as the retirement home of the richest man on the west coast of North America. His name was Robert Dunsmuir. And Robert Dunsmuir and his wife Joan emigrated here in the early 1850s as a coal master. They were really dirt poor, literally dirt poor. What a coal master was in Scotland, which is where they came from. Craigdarroch, by the way, is Gaelic for Rocky Oak Place. But what a coal master was an employee who looked after coal operations for wealthy landowners. Robert Dunsmuir indentured to the Hudson Bay Company, who operated coal mines here in British Columbia. And when he arrived, he was posted to a remote northern community on Vancouver Island called Fort Rupert. He lived literally in a dirt-floored hut with his wife and one son, who was born on the voyage from Scotland. Robert Dunsmuir didn't stay a dirt-poor miner for very long. He was at Fort Rupert. There was very little coal and poor quality what there was, so he was eventually transferred to a small community about 2 hours modern drive north of here called Nanaimo. And in Nanaimo, he operated a little richer coal mine, but not very rich. Dunsmuir stayed employed as an indentured employee of the Hudson Bay Company until 1860. And then he was given the choice of returning to Scotland or staying as a free miner, and he chose to stay and had permission to prospect. Robert Dunsmuir in the early 1860s made the richest discovery of seam coal of the very highest quality that had ever been found in North America. And that was the equivalent of finding a rich oil field, because coal was the oil of the 1800s. And he became vastly wealthy very quickly. Robert Dunsmuir borrowed $10,000 each from two sea captains. 3 years later, he repaid the $10,000 loans to the sea captains by paying them $630,000 each. And in those days, that was just a fabulous wealth. I'm just going to break this little history to point out, just coming up, one of Victoria's greatest pastimes is the sport of golf. And this is the Victoria Golf Club just ahead. It's the second oldest golf course in North America. The first and the oldest was Shinnecock Hills in New York. But the Victoria Golf Club was founded in 1893. This is my particular club. And when this club was founded, the annual dues and fees were $5 a year. It's more than that now. This is called Pebble Beach North, after the famous course in California, because like Pebble Beach, it follows the sea. And it is a magnificent golf course. It's a full 18-hole course. It's not a long course, but it's a beautiful and challenging course. And it is a pastime that can be enjoyed in Victoria year-round. Last year, for the whole year, we only had 2 days when we had to delay morning rounds because of frost. And I told you that some houses cost a little bit more on the water than $1 million. The house that Derek's taking us past right now, just on the right here, is really two residences, one on this level and one at the sea level. And when the families moved into those houses a year and a half ago, The price tag was $28 million. And these magnificent residences that we're going by now are absolutely priceless. Particularly one up ahead that's the ancestral home of the people that still own the Butchart Gardens. This is their stone mansion. It's for sale just now, and the list price of that little house was about $14 million.
Bargain.
If we had made this trip about 4 years ago, I would have. Whoops. Trees are low too. I would have pointed out on the right here a beautiful, authentic little English Tudor-style inn called the Oak Bay Beach Hotel, and it had a wonderful pub in it where generations of Victorians had their first drinks of beer in the snug. It was a magical place. I recall the wild celebration when I turned 19 and my identification at the snug turned 25. And they say that they're going to maintain that ambience. I hope it's a tradition that's ongoing. I have my doubts, but we can hope for the best. And just here on the right is the Oak Bay Marina. This is one of a great many marinas and yacht clubs that dot the whole coast. And just like the golfers, all these boats are used year-round. Very few, if any, are pulled from the water and winterized. There's simply no need. It just simply doesn't freeze here. Anyway, back to Craigdarroch Castle. The maps and the picture will help you in enjoying the castle tonight. The interior of the castle is priceless and couldn't be duplicated in today's world. The paneling alone is white oak, largely white oak from Arkansas, milled in Chicago and shipped out here. And the architect and builder rejected 90% of the paneling that was shipped, saying it was not clear enough. And so many oak trees, far more than there probably are left in Arkansas, were destroyed to make this paneling. When Robert Dunsmuir built Craigdarroch Castle, and it was completed in 1890, the average price of a big family home in Victoria was $500. Robert Dunsmuir spent 1,000 times that much money to make Craigdarroch Castle, so it gives you an idea of the opulence that he created. Robert Dunsmuir never got to live in Craigdarroch Castle. He died about 6 months before the castle was completed. But his wife Joan did live in Craigdarroch Castle for 18 years until her death in 1908. When they were in Scotland as a young married couple and preparing to emigrate to Canada, Dunsmuir promised his wife that if he succeeded in the New World, he'd build her a castle. He succeeded beyond anybody's expectations. When Robert Dunsmuir died in 1890, he left not only the castle and a thriving business, railroads and steamship lines, he also had $20 million in the bank. And in 1890, that was almost Bill Gatesian. That was billions, and in today's money. After the castle became vacant of Dunsmuir's, after Joan died, none of the children wanted anything to do with it. Robert Dunsmuir and Joan had 8 daughters and 2 sons. James, the oldest, is the one that was born on the voyage over. But none of them had any interest in the castle. And so they decided to subdivide it. The castle originally stood on 28 acres of land. And they subdivided the land, but they were unable, they sold all the lots, but they couldn't sell the castle. Nobody wanted it. It was far too expensive to maintain. It's a big place. It's 87 steps from the main floor up to the tower. The tower was the highest thing that the highest place you could stand in the city of Victoria in 1890. So what they didn't know how, the family didn't know how to dispose of the castle. So what they did basically was they put the names of all of the purchasers of the lots in a hat, and they drew one name out, and that was Solomon Cameron's name that came out, and they gave him the castle for $1.
What happened to you?
Solomon Cameron was a terrible businessman, and he lost heavily his investment, and the Bank of Montreal foreclosed, and so Craigdarroch Castle became the first upside-down mortgage in the city of Victoria. But it wasn't idle for long. Over the years, Craigdarroch Castle was first a hospital for returning World War I vets, and then a school board office, and finally a conservatory of music and a teacher's college. The castle itself was taken over by the Historic Society that now operate it, and it now is being fully restored to its original glory, and they've done a marvelous job. That began in 1975 and continues right to this day. The way that you're going to view the castle is a self-tour. If you take a quick look at those maps, you don't have to study them, you will go into the castle through a porte cochere, which is on the family side. And one side of those maps shows the family side of the castle. And if you take the maps and you walk up in a counterclockwise direction up the family side of the castle, you'll go up 4.5 floors, right up to the top of the tower. And then if you flip the map over and go down the servants' side of the castle, it's much less opulent and beautiful. You'll go all the way down, again go in a counterclockwise direction on every floor, and you'll eventually reach the ground level, and you will exit the castle on the opposite side that you came in, out to the street level. We are going to walk from the bus up to the castle, and then up the family side of the castle and down the servant side. And when you exit the castle and get back to the street for the walk back to the bus, make sure and double sure that when you get to the street you turn left. If you turn right, you will get back to the Spirit, but just about time to see it sail down the Strait of Juan de Fuca. So up the family side, down the servant side, out to the street, and back to the bus. We will have about 50 minutes at Craigdarroch Castle, and we will. It's about a 5-minute walk to get up to it, and about a 5-minute walk to get back to the bus. So I'll remind you when we get there, and that will be only in about 5 minutes. We will have a photo opportunity on the way back to the bus. The city of Victoria and its inner harbor are incredibly beautiful at night. So we will have an opportunity to stop downtown and just take 10 minutes to take some pictures. I just want to point out quickly, one of Victoria's beautiful homes, this is the Queen's residence. The Queen Elizabeth is the head of state of Canada and all the Commonwealth countries, and this is Government House, the home of her Lieutenant Governor here, and the residence of the Queen when she's in Victoria. The grounds are magnificent and maintained by staff and volunteers, but they are open to the public at all times, except when the Queen's in residence. But Queen Victoria Queen Elizabeth is an icon. She's been the Queen forever, it seems. She came to the throne in 1952, and on the death of her father, George VI, who was the subject of that film, The King's Speech. But she's getting very old now, and the idea of succession is worrisome to many Canadians. Her natural heir is not the dashing Prince William who married last year the beautiful Kate, his bride. He's not the heir to the throne. The heir to the throne is Charles, the Prince of Wales. And Prince Charles was married to Diana, Princess of Wales, you might recall. But that marriage didn't last, and they divorced. And Diana was killed tragically. And Charles has remarried Camilla, the Duchess of York. The idea of King Charles and Queen Camilla doesn't have the same ring to it. There's a bit of a funny story going around. It seems that Charles, the Prince of Wales, was asked to walk 3 of his mother's pet little dogs around Windsor, the family place near London. And he wasn't paying attention, let the leashes go too long, and a bus ran over these poor little dogs. And Charles was distraught, and he knelt down to see if he could do something for the dogs, and he spotted an odd-looking bottle, and he picked it up and gave it a shake, and out popped the proverbial genie. Well, the genie said, "Your Royal Highness, in gratitude for getting me out of that bottle, I'm going to grant you a wish." And Charles said, "Well, genie, I wish you could do something about these corgis, because Mummy is not going to be amused." And Charles said, "Well, genie, that's easy. Look at these corgis and do something to help them." And the genie looked at the little dogs and he said, "Well, Your Royal Highness, not much I can do. The first is very bad, the second's even worse, and the third's gone off to his reward in heaven." And Charles was quiet for a minute, but then he said, "Genie, can I still have my wish?" And the genie said he could. And so Charles said, "Well, genie, you see, it's Camilla. Do you think you could give her a makeover? Make her a little more like Diana was." And the genie thought about it for a minute, and he said, "Well, Your Royal Highness, let's have another look at these corgis." That's not very kind, is it? Anyway, we're at the drop-off to the castle. I'll just take a minute to remind you of a little bit of housekeeping before we get off the bus, and what to expect in terms of rules.
Awesome.
Sold all the furniture down to the bare walls at an auction. The stuff that's in here now is about 10%, maybe a little less, authentic, but it's all authentic as to period. So the stuff that's here may not be the original Dunsmuir furniture, but it's all accurate as to that age. I'll just go in and get them to open it up, but first of all, remember the shoe cleaner, it's right inside the door, just one quick swipe, and when you have finished, at about 9:35, and you're
Is self-2 or just keep turning counterclockwise?
I'm trying to find these things.
Huh?
Can you find anything else?
Wait, yeah. There's a tiger alliance symbol on where? On the floor.
What are you
Yeah.
looking for?
Like this. Let's go to the second.
Wait, Cameron.
Okay, we do not want to see those.
Cameron. I have a feeling we're going to be through this real fast.
You mind?
Hey guys, stand upstairs. Stand right in front of her.
We found one more thing. You get me?
Wait. Did you find anything in there?
Yeah. A base.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I don't think they've finished this room yet.
Wait, they finished it? They just took it apart.
Well, let's say from 1969 to 1979, this was used Victoria Conservatory of Music. Remember they were talking about they used this building for a bunch of different things? Well, one of it was a music school.
A goat head? A goat head? Cam, look, a goat head.
What? A secret what? Huh.
Is there any shells? Anything else in this room? We found this.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. I mean, over here.
Hey guys, come here. Come here. Come here, guys. Look at her eyes and move over here. She watching you?
She's watching us. Yes, she is. How can you tell?
Is that it?
Yeah. What's in this room, guys?
You already mentioned it. I know about me.
Watch out for everybody.
I found something.
You did.
Sean.
Yes.
Oh, I just turned it off. Sorry. Camera.
Cool. Want to go up another flight of stairs? What's that?
There's an intercom system.
Oh wow. 1890s intercom. Look at that lizard climbing on that thing.
That's a dragon.
Oh, okay then. That's a huge billiards table. The table is gigantic.
I know. What kind of billiards did they play? Oh, did you find the telescope?
Sure did.
Wow, that's huge.
Look at all that food they have.
Mmm.
Over there.
You guys hungry? It's only like 120 years old.
There's another stairway. Can you imagine
Yeah.
living here?
Dad.
What, buddy? Okay, get in your way.
Yeah, I saw it in the other room. It was big.
We found another thing. The boy and the horse.
Yeah?
I think that's a donkey. That's a horse. I still didn't get something. Wow, that's a big thing. Come on, let's check it out. I don't get anything.
So this is where the caretaker lived when this was the Greater Victorian School District.
Dad, we gotta look really hard.
Okay, keep looking.
I found another thing.
Cool.
That painting. Oh, that's what girls use all the time.
That's what girls use all the time.
Yeah, it's a changing thing. She's in her nightgown.
She's
Mm.
in her nightgown.
We gotta look for it a little bit harder.
Here's an actual picture, guys.
Why don't you guys go a little bit slower?
Is that the other map? Yes.
Imagine when I was
Diamond.
28 acres of nothing.
No.
shoes untied. This is kind of cool.
Hey, Cameron, come here. Cam, come here.
What are you singing?
Cam. Imagine living in this place. Going out that door.
And there wouldn't have been anything around.
No, there is something around.
There's a little widow's walk.
Huh?
Little widow's walk.
What's in here?
Or a little balcony or whatnot.
I was wondering what that
Look. Yeah. Hey, Cam, we gotta look a little bit harder for this. I told him. Put it up.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go. Hey, come on. Let's go down, Cameron. Come. That's not a place to be. Okay, yeah.
Well, let's go up.
No, let's go down.
Let's go up.
Let's go down. We haven't been down there.
Well, we haven't been up there. Then I think that's where we go down to go to the servant side.
I've heard about this place.
Oh, this is the tower. This is the tower, I guess.
And they just shut it. Please. Right, don't shut it. No.
There's there.
Look out, can you find the boat?
Huh?
Oh, I like this. The door's even curved.
Oh, neat.
What?
I'll show you something. If you stand right in the center of the tower and you talk,
I know, I want to
Just
find something.
say anything, the sound comes back at you from all different directions. It's really an eerie feeling.
I found something.
Here, stand in the middle, Sean.
Yeah. I found something.
Stand right in the middle.
You found that, didn't you?
Stand in the middle.
Sit
Stand in
down.
the middle and talk like he was saying. Say something.
Here, Sean, say something. Cameron, go out of the way.
Oh.
Does that sound weird?
Yeah.
Okay, Cameron, your turn. Say something.
My name's Cameron.
Say something.
You can say,
Like what?
my name is Cameron. He just told you what to say.
Seriously? My name is Cameron? Yes, say it loud.
Does it come back and echo really weird?
My name is Cameron.
Well, you're
Hello,
supposed
hello,
to
hello. That is kind of weird.
What?
It's original
Yeah.
sound. I don't think they did that on purpose.
That is
It's
weird.
just the shape of it.
Yeah. Just start talking, singing, doing
Say it
whatever.
louder.
Echo.
You hear it come back to you?
Echo.
Here, try it.
It's funny right here.
Yeah.
It's right because we know.
Cameron! Oh, okay.
I still can't hear you. Me too.
You can, huh? Okay.
Hello, Sean. If I can back to them. Yeah. Come on, let's go down here. Yeah, let's see what's down here. can see the toilet from here.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a huge toilet.
And there's their sink.
They put the water up there to flush it.
Yeah. Before that, there was an outhouse.
And they just pull the trigger. Oh wait. I feel like this would be.
It looks shut.
Hey, look.
Hey.
Nothing. It's showing you. That's mine. Yeah. Hey, excuse me. Excuse me. I can't.
Okay, I think that's. Okay, what's your step? It said right here.
Oh, I found my seat. I'm going.
There's their old vacuum too.
Where?
Yeah, right
Aunt
down
Mary
there.
used to have one of those.
Down there?
Uh-huh. Where's another one? A typer machine? No, that's a sewing machine.
Yeah, the old sewing
In
machine.
what?
Powered by that pedal down there. See those pedals?
Yeah.
That's how you got it moving.
Okay, come on, kiddos. We're headed down again.
Yep. Okay, another step. Watch your step. Watch your steps. Look at the light bulb. It says X. Hey, nothing in. Light bulb. Oh yeah. Check this out. Echo. Go. Go.
It's like a sewing room.
No, that's a map.
Volunteers are conserving late 19th century lace curtains from a San Diego mansion.
That explains it. Come on.
Explains it.
Wow.
This place is freaky.
Why is it freaky?
Look in there. Mom, don't look behind you.
Okay, there's other people wanting to get in here. So.
Dude, something about the lace curtain. Oh, there's that curtain that, see that?
I found
Oh, so
something.
the other one is.
That's what they restored. It took
Okay.
like 856 hours to restore that or redo it or something.
I found it.
Right. Come on, guys. Okay.
Nothing's in here. Guess it was a linen closet or something.
Mom, I found another thing.
Yeah, this was a linen closet.
Oh, here's all the money.
Oops, sorry.
Keep this mansion up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful place, huh?
Wait. Why would there be a private if there's no private? Why don't there be a private? I'm bad at stairs. So don't blame me for it. I just want to go back. Team, I found like something
Why
again.
is it so
What?
blurry?
That.
Uh-huh.
It's blurry.
Well, you gotta autofocus it on something.
I thought I did.
Hey Dad, I found that over there. Come on, let's see. Wow.
Yeah.
There's a gift shop.
The smoking room.
So what this is?
Yeah. With a hookah.
I don't see a hookah in there.
Well, that's evidently they've PC-ified it.
This is impossible
What?
to find all of this.
The Castle Society.
all the people that live here.
No.
Oh, I found something. What?
This is
That.
it's owned by the Castle Society.
Oh yeah, you did. Everything that's here. No.
Oh yeah,
it's not.
these are people who lived here.
Yeah.
Some of the ladies who, I guess, entertained here. Man, I need to replace that window. Excuse me. The gift shop.
You too.
Wait for Cameron.
Okay, start there. You guys ready? Set, go.
Maybe he'll keep mosquitoes off on by running. Oh, can't Sean? And yet Cameron's almost catching up to him. Look at that.
So they're both cheating.
Oh, Utah, yeah, that's right. Well, I had people from Kansas and the Midwest here just a week or so ago, and they say it's been so hot that the corn is dead in the fields. It is sad because
I win.
I know, I saw him.
I know.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, but if you hadn't cheated at all, you'd have won.
Cameron, don't do it. You're going to fall.
kids. The irony of it all is that that is still used as a language school, but with the emergence of China as an economic superpower, it's now used to teach the Chinese language to business people who want to do business in China. And just ahead is a very ornate gate called the Gate of Harmonious Interest. That's not historic. It was built only about 35 years ago to commemorate, by the city of Victoria and the Chinese Canadian community, to commemorate the huge impact the Chinese had on the way we live. But there is a couple of things for me to tell you and point out. If you just look hard out the left-hand side of the bus, coming up in just a few feet, you'll see a darkened restaurant. It's very hard to see, called the Fantan Cafe. But the front of the bus is just now passing Fantan Alley. That's the narrowest thoroughfare in North America. You can see it stretches several hundred feet down between the buildings. It was immortalized in film by Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn, who filmed Bird on a Wire down there with a motorcycle chase. But in the old days, Fantan Alley led to three major businesses. One was a gambling den. Fantan is a gambling game. The other two were an opium den and a brothel. And they were all very busy. It was legal in those days. So this was a seaport. And very busy places, all three. If you just glance out the right-hand side of the bus as Derek takes us around the corner, in the near distance you can see a light shining on a blue bridge. That is about 80 years old, and it was in its day a marvel of construction. It was built by a man named Strauss, who built the first San Francisco Bay Bridge. And if you look around this part of town that we're in, and you're familiar with old San Francisco, you could be forgiven if you think you're taken back there. Because this part of Victoria, built in the gold rush years of the 1860s and 70s, was built entirely by labor from San Francisco and building materials from San Francisco, with techniques that were evident in old San Francisco. The only difference is we've never had the earthquake and subsequent fire that felled parts of San Francisco, and so all that remains here in Victoria is authentic. I told you about our huge and increasing retirement population. Because we are the seat of government here, the capital of the province, we have a large government workforce with many young families getting their first start here. And you've seen some of the flower beds and flower gardens on our trip around past the great mansions. One woman wrote a column, or pardon me, a letter to the editor in the local newspaper not very long ago, saying Victoria has reached its destiny of the city of the newlywed, the flower bed, and the nearly dead. Just ahead, this is part of the town that I'm fond of saying is Old San Francisco, because it really is. These arches and so on that stretch from this street several blocks away from the water are purely authentic. And just on the left is where it started in 1842. This open area to the left was the site of the original bastion or fort of the Hudson Bay Company. All that's left is the mast. But it was a cannon-defended fort, and the cannons were never fired in anger. And just out to the right is the inner harbor of British Columbia. It's the reason the Hudson Bay located here. It's a perfectly protected little harbor, protected 360 points of the compass. It's only connected to the open ocean by a narrow, twisting neck of water. And just ahead, the Parliament buildings of the province of British Columbia. Those were built by Francis Mawson Rattenbury when he was just 24 years of age. He did so well. He lied about his resume to get the job. He claimed credit, this young brash kid, claimed credit for buildings that were completed 30 years before he was born. But he did so well with those Parliament buildings that they're considered to be amongst the finest examples of public architecture during the reign of Queen Victoria. And just on the left, his second project. This is the Empress Hotel. In the old days, Rattenbury was asked to build this hotel at the water's edge. The bridge and causeway that we're on right now didn't exist. And it was a swamp. So he sunk 1,680 Douglas fir tree trunks in the muck. And he built the Empress. He poured concrete on those big tree trunks, some as much as 8 feet in diameter. And he built the Empress on that platform. And in 100 years, that massive building in a swamp has sunk less than 1 inch.
Wow.
So we're just going to stop here, folks. Please don't get too far away. It's about 10 minutes to 10.
Hotel. It's back there.